Ragazzi, è un momento perfetto per la musica. Infinity Playback, SuperSearch, and related artists/albums, all powered by artificial intelligence. Those are the highlights of the new Volumio 3. Oh wait, it's not as new, but these features are. So let's have a look together at the power they might have. It has been quite a while since I have done my in-depth installation and a review of Volumio, which is still one of the most known audiophile music player software solutions for Raspberry Pi out there. I also did an updated review on the new version 3, which was released 2 years ago. Since then, there were some updates and the Volumio team seems worked hard to improve and invented additional new features. One of the highlights for me was the implementation of nowadays so popular AI, specifically ChatGPT. So in this review, we will have a look at it again now. I will demonstrate to you all the new features and updates, and I will show you again the difference between the free and the paid version, so it can help you to decide if it's worth your installation consideration and your money in a case you decide to go for the paid version. I will be also uploading shortly some quick additional tips and guidelines related just to Volumio and updated comparisons with other audio solutions. So don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss it. But first let me express my observation about this Italian company and overall my thinking where they are going, as that has been actually my overall wondering past months. What these main, or let's say the most popular audiophile software teams developing Volumio, Mood Audio, and others are aiming for, and what it means for us, users. Well, as you can see on Volumio's website, they expanded their hardware portfolio and overall they are more and more commercial, focusing on the business part and hardware production. That is what we have witnessed mostly with the new release of Volumio 3 and their launch of their first product, which I believe was Primo Analog Streamer, and they came out that time with its introduction of just 2 subscription plans, one free and one paid. But about the subscription plans a bit later in this review, or let's say a review revision 2024. So overall, when you look again at their website, you can see that they want to focus and sell quite premium audiophile hardware starting from 800 euros and become a complete all-in-one audio solution for audiophiles using their Volumio software, or as they call it, their operating system, which is quite controversial, and not just for me, as Volumio and other network audio players started as a pure community effort to support a fairly inexpensive single-board computer as an audio player solution priced $35 that time. Now let's talk about the basic facts about this software player, which is still running on the top of Raspbian Buster, or if you would like to call it Raspberry Pi OS version 10. Currently the latest Raspberry Pi OS is version 12. We have still a version 10 here, which is completely fine, as we don't need for audio playback the latest OS core underneath the hood. But let's go back to the installation, which requires the same procedure and steps as I demonstrated in my in-depth review. You can watch again if you will need help with that. Just to clarify, the version I will be reviewing here today, it's the latest available, version 3.631, and I will be using it with my Raspberry Pi 4B 2GB version, revision 1.5. Interestingly, as you can find in their hardware requirements, Raspberry Pi 4 2 GB version is the recommended hardware configuration for this version of their software. So the hardware requirements went up, probably because of the additional features requiring more processing power. Well, we'll see how it affected the overall speed of the interface. After you finish your installation steps, you will be welcomed by the new manifest user interface by default, which is very simple and easy to look at, and it didn't change its look at all from the last release I reviewed. The main player buttons are positioned at the bottom, big cover artwork on the left, blurred version of it is in the background, track title and other info, including artist story, if available, bitrate information, and also the new infinite playback button are positioned on the right side. Further navigation menu, output options, library search, and play queue are positioned in the corners of the interface, except the top right corner, which is not occupied with any button. If you don't like this UI, you can still switch to the old contemporary or classic one if you prefer. But I will be using this new interface for the entire review. Now when it comes to some default settings coming with this player, I think I should mention. Even if you don't configure Wi-Fi section during the installation, the Wi-Fi and hotspot are on by default, so I like to disable it afterwards. This unfortunately on a Raspberry Pi does not disable the actual hardware Wi-Fi chip on the board, but just the software side. Another thing under the hood is that Samba sharing is enabled by default and running. SSH is disabled by default and has to be enabled in the additional hidden menu, which I will show you how to access, as I already mentioned in a short following video with other tips related to Volumio. Now let's talk about the sources of music you can have and use with Volumio. And here we are hitting the two options, or let's say limitations. As if you go just for the free subscription, the only ways how you can use this player is to play your locally stored or network shared music, or you can use it as an UPnP renderer, meaning you can send the music to be played from your phone or tablet via another app connected to additional streaming services you use, as Volumio in the free version will not allow you to use any streaming service natively. For the Mac users, AirPlay is still available, web radios are still there too in the free version, and for Spotify users, the Spotify plugin is still there if that is your low calories jam. Again, as I already mentioned before in my previous review, even Bluetooth is not available in the free version. Not that I would recommend using Bluetooth for any serious listening, but just wanted to mention that for some newcomers starting with that. On the other hand, as you would expect in the paid version of Volumio, you will unlock native connections to the main streaming providers, specifically Tidal, Obus, and Hi-Res Audio. Back to the locally stored music files you might have as FLAC files or DSDs. You can access them via network if you have them shared on your local network drive, or you can use your Raspberry Pi's internal storage if you have a big enough SD card and play them directly. You can also, as you would expect, attach via USB port a drive with your music and play your music that way. Now let's talk about the new features, my experience with them, and what you can actually expect from it. Well, as it was already introduced in the previous revisions of the new version 3, and only available in the paid plan, the music discovery features extended now with these new additions as called SuperSearch, Infinity Playback, and related albums/artists. Let's talk now first about the SuperSearch feature, which supposedly is using AI, specifically by authors ChatGPT. They are not specifying which version of ChatGPT. From a curiosity point of view, I compared Volumio search results with different AIs So we might see how it matches and how they would compare. But let's first talk about what this feature should actually do. It should help you to discover and search in a more human way new music you would like to try, and it should generate a playlist based on the search results. So how did I test this feature? Well, in a human way, right? I recently heard some really good piano covers of Cornfield Chase from Interstellar, originally from Hans Zimmer. So I wanted to listen to something similar, or I wanted to listen to some other variations of this song from different artists. So I tried SuperSearch with Volumio connected to my Tidal account, as it is suggested to have connected at least one streaming music service, or you need at least 1000 plus tracks in your local library. To activate this feature besides the standard search, you have to switch on that small toggle on the left from the input search field. I typed piano songs like Cornfield Chase from Hans Zimmer. The results I got included the actual original track from Hans Zimmer and a bunch of other songs, which, to be honest, did not satisfy me, as most of them were not piano songs at all. So I thought, as with most search engines, maybe I need to use different words, or should I say keywords, so it can give me better results. But then my thinking was, should not this be an AI helping me exactly with that? Be more human free, how you ask for the results, to help me find what I'm looking for. So I tried this time. Piano covers of Cornfield Chase from Hans Zimmer. Or maybe I should correct it to Hans Zimmer Cornfield Chase piano covers. Well, I tried all variations, and I have got another list of results which did not satisfy me either. And I didn't find a list of songs I would happily stick to it at least for, let's say, half an hour, and I didn't find anything similar to what my listening mood was keen to listen to that day. As a last try another day, I tried this feature just with simple keywords like piano songs, and that worked fine. All the tracks suggested were piano tracks from different artists. My thinking and conclusion about this feature is at the end of this review. For now, let's move on to another new highlighted feature. Related albums and artists. This feature is shortly explained as based on your listening. Volumio will suggest new artists and albums. As this probably works, if I'm understanding it right, the more you play and listen to your music, the AI will suggest more and more related albums and artists when you dive into the details of your favorite artist or an album. How I personally tested it was that after some time of playing my music for days and days, I went to a particular artist or a track I have in my favorites on Tidal and checked what Volumio will give me as a suggestion for more similar artists to listen to or albums. Besides the less known artists I listen to, I tried some more popular ones, such as, for example, Lana Del Rey. One thing to mention, it takes a second or two for the related artists or albums to appear, so you need to be a bit patient. This feature actually helped me to discover a couple of new songs and artists I didn't know about before, and I actually listened to them afterwards. Infinity Playback. I pushed the AI even further with the new Infinity Playback feature, which should help you find new music. How this feature works is that, for example, if you are playing a playlist or even a one song, as I discovered, when you switch on the Infinity Playback, Volumio will generate additional songs, approximately 10 and more at the end of your list with similar tracks. This feature worked and generated more than less similar genre of music? Well, kind of. Now let me jump back again to the overall music discovery feature and overall what you can see and read as your artist info, credits, and album story, introduced earlier as these new features connect to it and extend it. What I found personally is that most of the text information you could actually read and find out more about your favorite band or an artist. As in my case and my particular taste of music, there is nothing there. When you click on the artist story, it says not found, and the same goes, as you can imagine, to the album story. Now let me report about the stability of the system and the speed of the interface. Overall, I can report that Volumio in this revision worked fine for me. I tried and tested it for the purpose of this review with an external DAC, as Raspberry Pi revision 1.5 doesn't support the audio head digital transport I had available during the time of this review. Overall, it performed fine, but I had some slowdown issues. And I noticed, especially when using the new AI features, it took some time to generate the results, probably hitting the processing power limits of the Raspberry Pi. I also had to restart the system a couple of times, as it just stopped responding with reports it's busy. That happened to me especially when left overnight, even when the playback was stopped and it was on idle for some time, and also when switching from Tidal Connect playback to its native playback. A simple restart always solved any of these problems. I also noticed the cover artwork sometimes got stuck, and even when you switch the track, the previous artwork remained, which was confusing. If it was from Volumio's side or Tidal's side, I don't know, but it happened multiple times. Now let me tell you my overall thoughts about this new revision of the Volumio 3, which took additional 2 years of development. I will be thinking again more like a newcomer, a person finding out about Volumio and Raspberry Pi, and then wondering about the paid subscription. One of the first thoughts would be, I believe, how it actually compares to the services you are already connected to and have been using and paying for. As in my case, Tidal. It has an AI, as before called an algorithm, generating a new daily playlist based on my listening called Daily Mix, and 8 additional mixes, with my already most listened favorite songs, helping me to discover more. And the more you listen, it really gets better with its suggestions. It has details about artists, it shows you similar artists, credits, and other. Volumio doesn't take the info from the streaming provider you use. It's their own, from another source. And in most cases, the info you can get from Volumio is shorter and more brief. In most cases, it's missing, and just simply it's not there. The overall layout of the player designed to have the text info on the right side of the UI becomes empty most of the time. I am talking about landscape devices such as your PC or a tablet, as in a portrait, as on your phone. The UI doesn't show any artist info even when available. So that is the problem for me. All these new features with the new generation of algorithms, or call it AIs, should be better than before and help you find new music so you listen more. That is the whole point. And here with Volumio, even though I appreciate the consistent implementation of new features and technologies, like in this case the ChatGPT AI, it just does not deliver to me to justify the additional cost of their subscription, which by the way has been increased. Again, it was €649 before, now it's €749 if you decide to pay monthly. And the free trial was reduced from 15 to 14 days. My humble 1 cent suggestion here, why not to use the ChatGPT also for the artist info, so it's not most of the time empty. As you can see on my example here, if I try to ask ChatGPT, even the free 3.5 version, it gives me an info which Volumio or even Tidal doesn't include. And this is not exactly a new artist, which would be understandable then that the info could not be found or was not provided. Overall, let me know what you think about these new features Volumio introduced, and if you are on the paid subscription and you think it's worth it. I know there are people who love Volumio and will probably dislike this review, But my job here is not to be on either side, but provide you with a transparent overview and comparisons, and test all the features in the most honest way, which I did. From a company point of view, personally I think Volumio's hardware products look amazing, and if I will have a chance to test some of them, I will be more than pleased to share with you my opinion about the sound quality and the craftsmanship of their production. Please subscribe and like. More honest reviews and tips from me are coming. Thank you for watching.